suburban mom to 4 kids and a newborn. And by definition, that means that I am a big-time driver. I drive to 2 different schools. I drive to mommy and me activities, at least 3 supermarkets, music lessons, flag football practices, flag, not tackle, the pediatrician, I should have gone to med school, the ex-husband's house, and the gym, for my kids, not for me. Weekly, if not daily. At this point, driving has really just become a part of daily life. So this makes it hard to believe that there was a time, not so long ago, when I actually hated to drive. Not only did I hate to drive, but I was really, really bad at it. I was just as surprised as anyone else when I got my driver's license on the first try. My parents reluctantly lent me the keys to the wood-paneled Buick Roadmaster, which only made things worse, because parking that thing was sort of like docking the Intrepid. I know this for a fact, because my very first car accident was within weeks after I got my license, when I drove into my parents' garage. I mean, I drove into my parents' garage. I missed the car entry part and drove straight into the wall of the garage. It was mortifying. You see, my problem as a driver was that I was either overly timid or overly brazen. There was no middle ground. You know, that safe area where most drivers live their lives without killing or maiming pedestrians. I was only okay when I was driving in broad daylight on suburban cul-de-sacs with no other cars in sight. Otherwise, I was either driving like a total maniac or like a timid 90-year-old lady with blue hair and a beehive. And perhaps needless to say, I had a paralyzing fear of highways, akin to Cher Horowitz in the movie Clueless. Thank you, yeah. My life changed, though, by necessity. My then husband and I moved an hour and a half away from my family. And as our marriage gradually unraveled into discontent, unhappiness, and eventually divorce proceedings, I was told that I had to live in the marital home with my soon-to-be ex and our 2 boys until a comprehensive custody and settlement agreement could be reached. It was not a happy time, to say the least. And I was allowed 1 24-hour furlough per week, in which I could take the 2 boys to visit my parents, to breathe air not tainted by the ongoing divorce. In order to get to my parents, though, I had to drive on the New Jersey Turnpike for over an hour, with the added complication of 2 not always cooperative children under 3 years old in the back of the car. I was really scared to do that drive on every possible level. Visions of 18-wheel tractor trailers zooming into my car and my screaming children as we missed an exit filled me with dread. I was more scared, though, to stay at home. So I loaded the kids into the car with the grim attitude of somebody putting on armor to go to war, and I made the drive. And over each week, over the course of that long, long year and a half, I found myself becoming more sure of myself, both behind the wheel and otherwise. I learned that I could actually elicit simultaneous naps from both boys with a well-chosen Bebe Gilberto or Cesario Bora CD. And then I could drive down the turnpike, and I would feel almost so close to feeling at peace, listening to the music, each woman's throaty voice evoking images of a sun-swept paradise where people were happy with their lives and with their choices. Here's the thing about fear. It can only be tamed when you face it. 7 years later, I find myself in a totally different place, literally and figuratively. I'm in a home I love, with a husband I love, who even likes to joke that he lives just over a mile away from his in-laws. I just had my 5th kid 4 weeks ago tonight. But despite all these blessings, I find that I'm really scared, a lot. I'm not scared of driving anymore, thankfully, but I find that I'm scared of the possibility of losing all of these transcendently beautiful gifts. Plus, of course, there's the garden variety new baby scared. You know, that you're scared when she cries that newborn wah, wah, wah cry. You're worried that maybe she has reflux or colic or some deeper, more insidious problem that if I miss it, it'll grow and grow into something that becomes a life-threatening horror. I'm scared that I won't prove adequate to the children before me, meaning that I fear that my parenting won't do justice to their lives. My fear ranges from the little things, like that I'll forget somebody's carpool pickup and leave them stranded outside of school, to the bigger things, like forgetting a dose of medicine when they're sick, or inadvertently giving them too much or too little. But most of my anxiety can be summed up as the fear that I will not be up to the challenge of every single day being my best possible self, for their sake, if not for mine. And no matter how many kids I have, that fear actually does not diminish. In fact, each time I woke up the day I was supposed to leave the hospital after having one of these babies, I've thought, how the hell am I going to do this? And then I get home, and at least once a day I cry in bed or in the shower, and I think, I can't do this. What have I done? But somehow, the days and the weeks and the months, they slide by, just one into another. And those dark hours, well into the night, when you're sitting there holding the fussy baby in the glider, they pass. And we move into the light once more. And winter slowly thaws into spring. And things change, whether we want them to or not. Driving has become actually a moment of solace in my day, contrary to what I ever would have expected. Because behind the wheel of my minivan, of course, I can savor those few moments in my day when I'm actually seated and not on a toilet. Whether I'm listening to a chattering child or music, those in-between moments that once caused me so much fear are now my place of peace. There's a Jewish saying that goes, the whole world is a very narrow bridge, and the main thing is not to be afraid. 5 kids into this parenting thing, and I'm still really afraid. So maybe 6 is the magic number. I'm not sure if it's ever possible to not be afraid at all. But if you face the fear and you keep driving, then in the end you stop thinking about how narrow that bridge is. Because time and children, they push you forward, whether you want to go forward or not.